Hey there, I'm Tom Sinclair, and you have arrived at Streaming Idiots. I'm not quite sure how you got here, and in some cases you may be saying, I don't know that I want to stay. No, I'm just teasing. Welcome to Streaming Idiots. Today, this is a show about live streaming. Whatever your passion is, taking that passion and through video and audio, making it available to the whole world over the internet. How cool is that? I'm excited. I get excited about it because I get to do this show every single week. If you'd like to do a show like this and you're not quite sure how, shoot me an email, tom@easternshorebroadcasting.com. We can chat about it. There are all sorts of cool things out there that like vMix software and PTZ optics, PTZ cams, and Magwell capture cards that, these are companies that we represent because we market these things as well as build and install custom PCs all over the U.S. And Canada. Sorry, Sean, didn't want to forget about Canada. So we get all the advertising out of the way. Really interesting show today. We've got some news. Well, it's not news to a lot of people, but some news about Skype. We've got some news about IBC. We've got some news about some competition. There is a competing show to Streaming Idiots warming up in the bullpen. We'll tell you about that one in just a few minutes. Also about this concept that I've been working with on a $100, you may have seen my tweet on Twitter. If you don't follow me on Twitter, you need to, Eastern Shore Broadcasting or something like that. Go to our website, easternshorebroadcasting.com, and there's some links to the Twitter feed where you can sign up for that and the Facebook stuff so that you can keep up with the day-to-day things because this show only happens once a week. Golly gee. Anyway, you may have seen my tweet about the $100 capture card, HD capture card, 4 ports. So we're working on that. In fact, we've got a show coming up at the end of September. I'll tell you more about that in just a minute. And we're also going to have some reports from IBC that is happening in Amsterdam, I believe starting on September 9th, going through the 13th. So we'll have some more about that in just a few minutes. But hey, if you're watching us on YouTube live, we're delighted you're here. But let's see, I think I've got the little thing here. Will it pop in just right? Let's just try it. Almost. If you're watching us on YouTube, join the show at easternshorebroadcasting.com. because then you can get access to the chat thing. Here's my pre-show. This is my little kind of pre-show when it's before the show. We talk like this, and there's the chat room, and the folks in the chat room get to chat about all sorts of things. And then after the show, yes, that's right, there is a post-show where there's the chat too. But if you'd like to see the chat during the show, you need to go to easternshorebroadcasting.com and go to the Watch Live page, and then there'll be the chat and this picture on there at the same time. Sorry, spent much more time explaining that than I needed to, but that's okay. All right. No, I haven't had any coffee today. I'm just excited. It's just so great to do this show. I'm just so excited about it. For those of you that use Skype as a way to bring in a guest to your show, you've probably already discovered that Skype is broken and that Skype has problems receiving this image and sending it back to your guest. vMix will output all of this in something called the external output. That makes sense, external output. And then in Skype will see this external output from vMix as a camera source called vMix Video. Well, that makes sense. And then you can pick up your audio from your mixer or your mic or wherever. That doesn't have to come through vMix. But with Skype version, where is it? 7.27 point something. But the important is 7.27. With version 7.27, which got pushed out in the last week or 10 days, it broke this ability for the vMix Video to become the video source for Skype, or the camera source for Skype. Now, you can fix this by, drum roll, don't hear any drums, oh well. You can fix this by reverting to a previous version of Skype. How do you do that? Well, you're looking for Skype.26.0.101. And if you're watching us on YouTube after the fact, I'm going to put the link to that down here in the show notes. If you're watching live, I'm going to put the link to that in the chat here at the end of the show, so don't let me forget to do that. And if you can't wait, you can go to the vMix forum, and there's a link all about this there's a thread all about this that has a link in it to 7.26.0.101. Now, Skype, they're nice people. They are nice people. And they don't want things to be broken. So certainly they're going to fix this soon, right? We would hope so. Anyway, really, so we're changing the channel here, going to the next thing. Next thing is coming up next week, and generally we don't do next week announcements in the middle of the show, but I just couldn't help it. I couldn't help it. Coming up next week, we are going to have Dan Slider, who is the Director of Marketing for Pi Engineering. Now you say, why is that important? Well, Pi Engineering, they're the folks that produce the Xkeys series, the Xkeys lines of controllers, like, yes, that's right, the Xke-24 T-Bar controller that works with vMix. And you've got all these buttons and a T-bar and all this stuff. So next week, we're going to be talking all about this guy, running it through its paces. I just got it yesterday. Excuse me. I haven't had a chance to do anything. I haven't had a chance to play with it yet, but I can't wait. Look at all those buttons. Isn't that great? And a T-bar. T-bar doesn't do anything at this point because I don't have it configured properly, but just, oh, golly. Ooh, I might have to come back in tonight after my wife's gone to bed. And no, I'm teasing. It's like, this guy's gone nuts, completely nuts. I haven't even had coffee today. It's great. Okay, so next week, that's September 7th, Dan Slider, Director of Marketing, Pi Engineering, will be here to talk about the T-Bar, and we'll talk about it. We'll be using it. We'll be showing you how to do it. If you can't wait for that, there is a video on YouTube that Tim from vMix did. So if you go to the vMix channel on YouTube and scroll through until you see the Xke-124 T-Bar, T-Bar, I think it's even a tutorial, of how to set it up. Basically, it's just setting up shortcuts and assigning shortcuts to the different keys. Ooh, okay. Oh, my goodness. Okay, so that's next week. You don't want to miss it. Let's talk, the 4-port capture card for under $100. Okay, have I got your attention on that one? Everybody wants, wouldn't that be just the holy grail of capture cards, a 4-port high-definition capture card for under $100 that you could buy at Best Buy? Hey, now. That's great. All right, now, what does it mean? Well, you got to have a certain kind of camera, you got to have a certain kind of software. There are some requirements for that. But there are probably some people out there that are smart enough to figure out how to get around some of that. Let's say that you had, don't even say, coming up later in September, Dan Richards from PTZ Optics is going to be on this show, and we're going to demonstrate how his PTZ Optics cameras can be controlled and switched, controlled as in pan, tilt, zoom, and switched from camera to camera to camera, not using a capture card. It's all through, yes, you've already guessed it by now, a gigabit switch. Yes, but not just any gigabit switch. This is a gigabit switch that has PoE, power over Ethernet. So it essentially means you're running one wire, one little cable. Do I have one here? No, I don't have an Ethernet cable on the desk. But it's just a small cable. One cable is going to carry video to the PC. It's going to carry control to the camera to tell the camera what to do. And it's going to carry power to the camera. All over just, 4 twisted pair? Amazing, amazing. And that's going to take capture cards and reduce their market share, unfortunately, for our friends at Magwell and Black Magic. It's not that. It's going to be great for the consumer. In fact, I'm writing proposals right now for two different churches that we are going to use this concept of putting in a switch and running Cat 5, Cat 6 to all these locations, so that we have to run one wire, and we've got power, and we've got signal, and we've got control. And it's going to cost, we're using a special PoE switch, which we'll talk about in that show coming up. But they're, I don't know, $150 for a 7-port PoE switch. Not a big deal, really, when you talk about that versus a Magwell Pro Capture Quad SDI for, $900. Different ball game. Okay, so that's coming up. At some point in later September, probably the 21st or the 28th. We'll let you know more next week. Coming up on September 14th will be a report from IBC, and I'm really excited about this. Martin Kay is in the live audience today, and Martin and I are Martin's doing the work, and I'm taking the I'm either taking the heat or the glory, depending on how it comes out. But Martin is going to be going as a representative from Streaming Idiots, among other places, to IBC and interviewing some folks and bringing it back. And anyway, you won't want to miss it. That'll be 2 weeks from today. So that'll be really cool. And, there'll probably be some really interesting things at IBC, probably tons of NDI stuff. The Bird Dog TV folks, these are the folks that make the little box. This is a box that's going to be, I don't know, this big maybe, and it's going to mount on the end of a camera, and it's going to plug in SDI or HDMI into the camera, and then you can plug your Ethernet into it right there. Now, it's probably not going to be a PoE device, although that would be a good addition to it if it were. And it obviously is not going to control the camera, since it would be just a fixed camera. But anyway, hopefully we can get some more information about those folks and find out when they're shipping, all those kinds of things. We'll see. vMix will not be, they might, but I don't think they'll be announcing version 18. Just this past Monday, they did a live show. They do a live show every month, so they just got this one under the wire. And they're doing a live they did their live show, had some more announcements about vMix 18, and we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about that right now. Don't forget, and we're going to close out the show talking about the competition to this show. I'm really upset about that, and I need some help from you guys as to how to make that work. But vMix, in their Fun Time live show on this past Monday, their Fun Time live show for August, which you can see at the vMix website. I think you have to kind of navigate through a bunch of stuff, or if you go to YouTube, it just search vMix and then go into their videos, and you'll see the Fun Time live show for August. You can watch the whole thing. But here is a clip from that show that I think is probably worth watching. So let's, with no further ado, and hopefully I've got everything set right on it. Let's see, let's turn the audio on there. And because I just loaded this up right before showtime, and I haven't even previewed it here. Oh, but that's what this show is all about. This show is about how not to do stuff. I was talking to somebody this morning, and they broadcast junior college sports, and they were struggling with something, and there were a couple of upgrades that they could make, but things were working 95%, and they have a game tomorrow night. And I said, well, you could do the Windows 10 anniversary update, and you could update to vMix 17, and you could update your NVIDIA drivers, but you might want to, if you were me, if I were you, I'd be doing all that today and then regretting it tomorrow night when I had an unintended consequence. But for you, I'd say, wait until you get past tomorrow night's broadcast, then do those one at a time and check it out. So, of course, I don't take my own advice. I want you to do as I say, not as I do. I mean, I for your own sake. I mean, don't do what I do because I do it, because if it breaks for me, it's probably going to break for you too. Long way of saying, I just downloaded this video. I have done some, what would you call it? Not editing, I've just marked an in point and out point in vMix, which is really easy to do. So right now the whole thing is queued up. And I think we've talked about that in a show, and vMix has too. Anyway, let's, with no further ado, we're going to flash over to Martin and Tim as they talk about the hamburger menu, and then they introduce data sources, data sauces, data sources, and let's see what happens. Let's see if it works. It works! Yay!
Hamburger menu is here. So everybody that's been counting down the days, finally we're going to announce the hamburger menu for vMix 18. So I hope everybody's excited about that. You'll notice that it has the 3 little lines, which usually means it's like mobile optimized websites have the 3 little lines, which is colloquially called, I shouldn't have said that.
Colloquially.
It's impossible.
Yeah, you made me.
A hamburger menu, that's what they call them in mobile development for menus on mobile websites. So we thought, hey, we shouldn't not have any like a food menu on ours, so we've included the hamburger menu for vMix 18. So that's it, that's the new feature.
Is that really all you're going to announce?
Yes. I think so. Is that it? Actually, on the hamburger menu, you'll be able to access vMix Social, and you'll also be able to access the title designer, which makes things super easy. So yeah, that's very exciting. A new menu.
That's it?
Actually, no, that's not it.
So, yes, data sources. This is what all of our talk of hamburger menus, if you're not confused now, you might be very soon, because the hamburger menu, which is just really a name for a menu that has that unique icon you see in mobile devices, as Tim already said, the hamburger menu will not have 3D hamburgers rotating around your production. But wouldn't that be amazing if that's all it did?
It would be amazing. I have a burger button on my Xkeys that I can press.
It is all about data sources. And I'm going to just jump right into it with a desktop capture today to show you how the data sources works. And before I do that, I'm just going to clear out what we were playing around with yesterday. So we'll just make sure that that's all cleared out. So jumping to the desktop capture, and we'll show you what data sources is all about. So this is our production for today. You can see, it's just a standard vMix setup. Things don't look that much different from vMix 17, except for the magical hamburger button down here in the corner. So I'm just going to click that hamburger button, and you can see what it has at the moment. It has vMix Social, it has vMix Title Designer, and it has the brand new Data Sources Manager. So the idea behind this button is hopefully as we add new, is what I would call modules or plugins for vMix, you can access them all from this menu. And we're going to just jump right into Data Sources Manager. And I'll give you a bit of an overview of what data sources is all about. Now at the moment, when you add titles to vMix and you want to edit the text, you have to go into the title and edit it manually. If you want to add in Twitter posts, Twitter tweets, Facebook comments, Instagram photos, you can do all of that using vMix Social. So you have all of your social media currently covered in vMix right now. But say you want the data coming from somewhere else. Perhaps you have your own scoreboard system that has the format in text files, XML, things like that. You can use data sources to link those up. Data sources supports text, XML, spreadsheets, including Excel spreadsheets, CSV files, and Google Sheets, and it does all this live. So anytime you update any of those data sources, whether they're on the other side of the world or whether they're on your laptop right next to you, they will automatically update the data live within vMix. So we'll just do a very quick example here by clicking the plus icon in our data sources window. So as you can see, this is a centralized place in vMix for all of your data sources. I'm just going to click the plus icon and you can see all of the data sources that are available. We have Excel/CSV files. That's for XLS files and the newer XLSX files. Google Sheets, which is great if you wanted to set up spreadsheets on a separate laptop or somebody on the other side of the world that's managing your data for you. That's all live. You have RSS, which is colloquially known as really simple syndication. It's a data format for blogs, but you can also use it for other sorts of data such as weather. And text, which is just a simple text file either on the local computer or on the network. And finally XML. So we're just going to select text. We just want to add in a text file as a data source. So we can just browse and we can see all of the various files we have on our computer. And we have a file here on our desktop called PickMe. So I'm just going to select that text file. This text file is just a file I created in Notepad and it has the text Hello World in it. So we can just select that and here you go. You can see the data source is pickme.txt and it has the content of Hello World. And that's it. I've just added that data source and it's ready to use in any title. And I'll show you how that works. Let's add a title here. Let's add a title that just has one text field. We have this one here, which is just the headline text field. All I have to do is click data source. And from my data source drop-down menu, I can select text. As easy as that. And now Hello World appears and is in this data source. So that's automatically brought in. You can assign that data source to as many titles as you like. For sports, you may have a player rundown, or you may have a scoreboard, and you may want them all running to a single spreadsheet that somebody else is maintaining with all of the data for that game. You can bring that all in and associate it to as many titles as you like. So it's a really powerful feature for bringing in data. And you can see here, this title here says Hello World, but what if we jumped to our desktop and edited the file? You know, we have Hello World, and perhaps we want, you know, Hello Viewers, like so. And I can just save that. And there you go. The title instantly updates to reflect the updated text. And that's the same for spreadsheets, Google Sheets, RSS. Anytime they update, your data will automatically update. Now I'm going to add an RSS feed to show you how table data works. So you can have multiple different records you can select from. So we'll choose RSS. And we're just going to do our blog. We've got an RSS feed on our blog. For those that don't know about our blog, it's blog.vmix.com. And the RSS feed is at /feed. So I can just do that. After a couple of seconds, it will populate with all of the data. So here we go, we've got all our blog entries. The most recent entry, funnily enough, is IBC 2016 in Amsterdam, where Tim talks about our upcoming visit to IBC, which is all very exciting. We're going to talk about that a little bit later. So now that's in the data sources, I can add a new title for that. Let's choose this one here. And let's make the headline of this one here, let's make it the RSS feed. One thing you can select the column or you can select auto. Auto, in a nutshell, is just going to assign the columns based on the order they appear in the data source. So this has headline as the first one. It's going to pick the first item in the RSS feed, which just happens to be the title. So you can see the first one there. So that brings in, whoops, I didn't assign that. I've got to click OK. Yep. There we go. So now we have this title. Let's bring it up into the preview so you can see it more clearly. It says See vMix at IBC 2016 in Amsterdam. Now, I'm going to just reduce the font of that just a little bit. Now for the description, I could choose another field in the RSS feed, but I'm going to be a little bit more advanced here and select text. Now I can select the text field as well. So as you can see in a single title, we are using two data sources, which is pretty amazing. So not only can you use all those data sources in as many titles as you like, you can use them all in a single title quickly and easily. And not only does it bring in the first record, you can assign shortcuts to move around the data, like so. So I can, as you can see here, the title is updating here as I move through the various blog entries. or I can select auto next. So every 5 seconds, it'll jump to the next record. So you can have a rotation happening as well, just like that. So that's it. That's the data sources feature. A very powerful feature. Lots that you can do with it. Particularly with XML, you could create your own website with an XML in whatever format you like, and you can choose what is called
Well, apparently I clipped those guys off a little too quickly. My bad. But that's good because you need to go to vmix.com or to YouTube and go to vMix and watch the whole show because there's a lot more to that than just the data sources, or the data sources, and you'll get to catch the last few minutes or the last few seconds of Martin's explanation. My apologies because I tried to do a quick stop-start on that one before the show started. And obviously I missed the last couple of seconds. Now, I'm sure, and for those of you watching that just joined us live on YouTube, go to Eastern Shore Broadcasting for the last few minutes here. And that way you can see the chat room and join in on chat because there are about 20 or so folks watching live on YouTube. But we're glad you're here. The rumor is, and I've got the rumor from two good sources, that there is a competitive show to this show in the works, and it's coming out of the United States. It's coming out of the state of Indiana, where two characters who think themselves to be broadcasters. I'm teasing. George Price and Merle Dixon are putting together a show that's going to happen on Tuesdays, I think Tuesday afternoons, to talk about streaming and that kind of stuff from a user standpoint, from a real world standpoint. You know George because George has done lots of reviews of YouTube and other kinds of products. We're glad to have him back. He had a stroke a while back, but he's got his feet back underneath him now. And Merle has put together some really neat shows, not a lot of them, but a lot of thought has gone into them, and has a really great camera setup and a great lighting setup. So the two of them are going to get together and produce some shows where they talk about streaming. And I'm sure they'll talk about vMix, and they'll talk about other things too, cameras and capture cards and Skype and things like that. So I commend it to you. At this point, all we have is a tentative day of Tuesday, and we'll just have to see when they get time, and then a kickoff day. And I will encourage you to watch it either live or on demand later on, because us old guys got to stick together. That's all I could say. So if you've made it to the end of this show, because we are at the end, number one, I congratulate you for hanging in there so long. Encourage you to subscribe to us on YouTube if you're watching us on YouTube, because you'll get posts that tell us when we post new shows, and that way you'll know what to stay away from. But we'd love to have you come watch us live too, because live is a ton of fun. We're Wednesday afternoons at 3 o'clock Eastern. It's pretty regular schedule. I think we miss a Wednesday, a couple, 3 times a year, but we try not to. And we'd love to have you visit our website, easternshorebroadcasting.com, where we have all sorts of cool stuff like vMix software and capture cards and PTZ cameras and things like that you can purchase, or you can just send me a note with the contact form there. Or, believe it or not, and I probably shouldn't even say this, but I put my phone number on there. And my phone number rings right here to my cell phone. So if you want to call and talk to a real person, at least during normal business hours, I'll take your call. And if I'm tied up, leave me a message and I'll call you back. So if you're thinking about getting into the streaming thing, either personally or semi-professionally, or for your church or your school or civic organization, and you're not sure where to start and you want to chat about it, go to Eastern Shore Broadcasting, shoot me an email through the contact form there, or if you're really bold, give me a call. I'd love to chat with you about it. Thanks so much for watching today. I'm really honored for all the folks that showed up in the chat room, folks that showed up live on YouTube, and those of you that are watching YouTube on demand. I take that responsibility pretty seriously, although it still means I screw up from time to time. So with that as a typical ending, for those of you watching live, hang on. We're going to have a great time in the chat room in the post show. I think Rich is going to have to bring refreshments because I see he just showed up late, so he'll have to do the refreshments today. But we will catch you guys next time. Okay, take care. That wasn't a bad show. Might have even been a good show.